Um, and yeah, we're just going to have, I'm going to go ahead and open us up in prayer. And then we're going to do tonight just a little bit of kind of redux and talk about how Sunday went and get feedback from anybody there, or questions that anybody has about kind of what's going on next with our kind of game plan. And then I'm going to just also talk a little bit about our devotion and doctrine thing that's coming up, and let you guys know about that. And then we'll go from there and finish up some prayers. So let me open this up and just go to the Lord together. God, we come to you tonight, and even just a few of us tonight, Lord, and we're just so thankful to be here together as your people, Lord, together just to hear each other's voices and to see each other's faces. And we just know this is a really, really hard time. Last day, the last 24 hours has just been, more than that, it's been brutal. As we've seen so much violence, as we've seen so much injustice, and we just cry out to you on behalf of George Floyd and his family, Lord, and our friends who have to go through this garbage over and over and over again. And we just cry out to you, Lord, and we ask for justice. We ask, Lord, that you would help us to be a church that just figures out how to be, figures out how to care about these things and does it well. And so, Lord, we just cry out to you on behalf of our broken world. We need Jesus. People need Jesus. We need our hearts transformed. And Lord, there's so many things that it's easy for me to say that I don't have to experience, but there's other people who are dear to us that we love so much that have to go through the kind of things, the kind of fears that are just present in our culture. And so we just lift those up to you as well. And we pray for just a just culture. We pray for things to work in the way they should. We pray for systems that are just. And we just, we lift all this up to you, God. And I pray that we wouldn't just quit because we don't know what to do, but that we would just cry out to you and enter into the pain with our friends. And Lord, bless this time tonight. We ask that you would help us, Lord, to just be in our little corner of the kingdom of God. Help us to be a church that just dearly loves one another, a church that dearly desires to listen to one another and to meet each other where we're at. And Lord, we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Did you hear any of that?
Most of it.
Heard it. Okay. I guess I need to just take this off. All right, Cody.
Are you using a microphone?
Do I? Yeah, I mean, it works sometimes, and then sometimes it doesn't. So
you're loud and clear now.
Yeah.
Loud and clear. Did you tell me to go ahead?
Cool.
Next?
Yeah.
Well, it's a smaller group, so the feedback might be less varied. Our pool is certainly smaller. What we were going to do was just kind of inform folks about how Sunday went. At least just let everybody know that we went through with the plan to have our first gathering, our first physical gathering. Many of you that are in here were there. Several of you were not able to be there for one reason or another. We followed the guidelines that we had talked about following before, and they are on, if you'd remember, on our website, c3denton.com. There's a COVID-19 page. The overview of the format for church, as well as the details for our logistics on Sunday morning, both of those are on that web page. They're also in the partner group on Church Center. If you're a partner and you're in there, so you have access to them. Those are the same guidelines that we followed, and we followed them to a T. And I want to report that all the mechanics of ushering, the mechanics of wearing face masks and having sanitizing stations, and the bits and pieces of the plan. Everyone was really sweet and really loving and really patient. It didn't take a lot of time, and I don't think it was necessarily clunky, but everyone was in good spirits to honor the plan that we set forth. Even if you're not used to wearing a mask when you're in public, everybody played really nice and was really gracious about following that that guideline. And it was sweet. It was a good time. Nathan Miller, led the the intro of the service, and at one point he had, and maybe if you were watching online or if you were there, you remember this, but we did our greeting time, and there are different perspectives on that greeting time. The request was that you don't approach other people, that you don't go to them, but from where you're standing, you just say hi to people that you haven't seen and wave. And on stage, Nathan not participating in it on stage, he thought it looked super awkward. And he even said so during the service, which was funny. But for me, being down in there and seeing it and participating in it, I thought it was just lovely. It was nice to be able to wave to real life human beings, real bodies that I haven't seen in some time. So I didn't think it was awkward at all. And the service proceeded. We did stand down from communion. We had gone, there were lots of different thoughts that went into communion or not communion. We decided to forego it for now, and also probably foregoing it until we can all actually gather at the building together and take communion together, be at the table together. So that's our strategy for right now. And then we dismissed service the same way that we started it. And again, everybody was just really pleasant. Everybody was excited. But, Ross pointed out, if you were able to watch online, he pointed out near the beginning that it just didn't feel, it wasn't like we were back to church. It wasn't like, hey, we're through with whatever we were going through and now things are normal. We dearly missed the other 150 some odd people that we're used to being around on Sunday morning. And so it was an interesting, there was a tension. There was a place we were glad to be able to gather, but we were mourning that it was so limited and that so many people couldn't be there because of their vulnerability or other reasons. And so, yeah, we followed the plan, and the plan, I think, as we debriefed as a staff and as a team, the plan went really smoothly. And so we decided that since it went well with 50 people, we have room to add some extra seats. And so we're expanding the service. You might have already seen the email. We're expanding the service to 75 people. And we're doing that again this week. We're following the same guidelines. If we change those, we will let everybody know. But right now, it makes the most sense to stay with that structure. But we are adding 25 more spots, essentially, available. We got up to 50 last week, 50 registrations. But at the last minute, a couple of folks had to cancel. It wasn't going to work out for them to attend. So we actually ended up with 44 out of 50 registrations. And then we have 75 available for this week. And so that's our plan. I think I could spend a lot of time telling you what I thought about Sunday. I mainly wanted to just kind of tell you what happened and not how I think about it or what I feel about it as much. But I'm hoping that several of you who were there would be able to maybe give us your opinion on Sunday. Just let us know, what was the experience like for you? And then if you weren't able to be there, we also want to know what your experience was like. What was it like if you watched on the stream and you saw us there and you weren't able to be there? I don't have that perspective because I was able to be there. And so I want to know how we can serve you, how we can kind of enter into that with you. So I want to hear from both sides if possible. So if anybody wants to start, we're all ears.
I can start.
Thanks, Rigo.
So I kind of felt like it was a bit of a double-edged sword because I loved seeing everybody that was there on Sunday,
Hmm.
but what I felt kind of sad about is like in a sense to where, which granted I arrived like just on time, but with the amount of space between everybody and like how like we were escorted, it's barely leave any time for anybody to reconnect, you know.
Yeah.
And so, like, I do appreciate how C3 is following CDC guidelines and how we're trying to keep each other safe from the virus.
Yeah.
But
It was different, right?
yeah,
Yeah. It wasn't the same. It wasn't like, oh, church again. It was noticeably different because our interactions were so limited. Yeah. Anything else, Rigo?
I think that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah. Well, good. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
And I think, Rigo, that is, I think it's good in some ways that you're feeling that is, I mean, it's not good that we're in that kind of place, but I do think it kind of is indicative of just the longings of your heart and the work of the Spirit in your life. And I think a lot of other people would echo that as well, just in being in that same place of like, this is, this is not what it's going to be. And just to encourage us to kind of, to let the Lord kind of build a hunger and a thirst in us as during this time, and to use that time to really mourn with the Lord, to go to Him, and just kind of help us to, because what that's going to do is help us when we get back together, like in more kind of normal kind of circumstances. It'll help us to be able to love each other better, and to truly celebrate that kind of stuff. So. So man, thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Blaine.
Okay, yeah. Cody, I kind of agree with you, even though we were kind of spread apart. You know, when we were doing the waving, man, my heart was just, golly, it was. I mean, I felt it was a love at a distance, but we're not really apart. You know, we're still together.
Yeah.
I think I loved it. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. And I look forward to doing it again. Actually, I can't wait. And as far as the worship, I mean, the Spirit of the Lord and His presence fell on me. And I know Rigo was like right in front of me, and I was like halfway screaming. I mean, I was just in a different place, and I was just, absorbed from what the Lord has given me, and I'm just so thankful. I couldn't help but just to worship in a way that I haven't worshipped in a long time.
No, yeah, Blaine, your singing was definitely awesome, dude.
Praise Jesus, man. I love it, man. I love that heart.
Yeah.
And really, what was really cool. The cool part about it is I was literally about to fall onto my knees, and I looked to my left, and Jeremy Auden had done it right before me, and I was like, man, that's what we all should be doing, and it's just the way I view it, the way I see it, and that's just something in my heart that just, I think the Lord has put in my heart to do that,
Praise the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. It was nice to hear a chorus of voices in that building. Ross has posted a video a couple of times of one of the first times that we gathered in that building before construction, before anything. Maybe it was even before we voted on it. Maybe it was during that kind of feeling it out process. I can't remember, but people had sung in there and it felt so powerful, and it was so great to have voices in there again. But what was interesting, there were only 50 of us, and it did not feel the same as it did when we were all there For as great as it was, it's still there's something that we're yearning for, and that's
Mm.
that is evident. Also, fun fact: we got locked out of one of the rooms, the kitchen, in the building, and Blaine had to, like Jimmy the barn door open and hop over the counter and unlock it. So Blaine saved the day.
Wait, Cody, who unlocked the other room in the corner?
I went and found a pile of keys, and as luck would have it, the very first key that I tried was the right key. So
Those were the keys that were up at Sarah's desk, huh?
yeah, Mount.
Gotcha. Sorry, I heard you up there talking.
Yeah, good. Who
Great.
else? I would love for someone else to be able to just to share.
I'm down to share. Gentlemen, I have something to say too. I had an interesting perspective being on slides because I kind of got to see everyone interact, see everyone's kind of facial expressions and stuff like that. Yeah, no, I kind of feel like it was awesome in the sense that we were all back together, even though it was the limited amount. And from the amount of times that I've been doing the live stream, I want to say pretty much every week, maybe off one Sunday since we started, I was just grateful that Ross had people in the audience because I know how terrible that's been for Ross just to preach to nobody. And we're in the back just like making jokes and talking about Ross. No, not really, but that's just kind of how it's been. So that's one thing I'm very grateful for. But yeah, I want to agree with Blaine that I think the worship was really powerful because I just think that people were so grateful to be together and so grateful for just being in the same room that they were just kind of praising the Lord for it. And I think that we really don't realize, I think church is something that I take for granted. It's something that I just, I go every Sunday and I've taken it for granted probably since I was 15, 16 years old. And especially now as I'm, getting older and, recently married and stuff, it's just so crazy to see how important it is, like how important that's like every week is, every Sunday morning is, and how there's been kind of a missing piece. So yeah, no, it was hard watching everyone kind of, I could see so many people wanted to hug each other or a high five or whatever it was, and they just couldn't. And I just saw this just like, okay, well, maybe next week or maybe in a month or whatever. So, that was hard that you guys did what you had to do, but, yeah, no, I thought it was exactly what it needed to be. And, I'm excited to see the week by week transition of things, hopefully slowly getting back to where they were. But, yeah, no, that's my thoughts.
So like Caleb, I've been at the live stream a few times. And then I've also been home a few times during the live stream. I thought Sunday was awesome. I didn't think that like us greeting each other, I didn't think that was awkward. And I was on stage. But I don't know, I feel like there's a lot more awkwardness on Zoom than there is just like standing and waving at someone. That's just like my perspective. But I thought it was super awesome. It was super awesome to lead worship with people there, and I loved it. And I don't really think that there was anything that was really like off or like that I thought should be like tweaked at all, really, from my perspective. I thought everything went really well. So
Praise God.
I was going to say this, Jenna, and not because you just said you thought everything went really well, and so it was the right time to say it, but you really sounded great.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for using your gifts and just blessing us, man. It was like amazing. So
Thank you. It was awesome for me as well.
Good. I do think a giant drum cabin was built up on the stage, and it looks probably about 15 feet tall, and it blocks anyone sitting near the front's view of the projection. The lyrics, I think we decided we're going to move that down off of the platform so that it's a little bit, works a little bit better as an arrangement.
we're going to start having church in there.
Yeah, we're gonna go inside the drum cabin. No, and Caleb, to your point, you could see, like you had said, you could see people wanting to hug each other, and there was this notable restraint that people. I mean, we've been having to employ it this whole time, but you could see the difficulty in being restrained around your people, around your brothers and your sisters, and the people that you have locked arms with, and the people who have seen you at your worst and pointed you to Jesus. And it was hard to not rip the mask off and like run across the room and do some slow motion, like Sound of Music kind of scenes. But people really did. Man,
Well, I was gonna say, when you said that, whenever I was like watching it kind of happen, I thought of like the only analogy that I could come up with is like I kind of feel like, and this is a more like minor version of it, but maybe not. I kind of think of it as like, you know how like whenever you're like maybe in the airport or something and you see like someone like you're in the airport and you see someone see each other for the first time and they're like so excited to see them.
mhm.
Like I kind of feel like that's like kind of how people were, but like they weren't able to. Like it's almost like they drove by the airport terminal and saw their like best friend or their like husband or whoever it was, and then they just like drove past. Like that's kind of how I viewed it as, and maybe that's an extreme amount, but I think that the people of C3 really love each other.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, you want to give someone a hug, and you had to stand 6 feet away and go like this. Yeah, good. Anybody else? Anybody who wasn't there? Anybody else at all?
Hey, this is Brian. I just, for me, I just didn't want to talk over anybody else, but I just loved being back in the place with the people that I love.
Mhm.
I wish more people could have been there. I wish it would have been easier. I wish we weren't under, all the quarantine stuff. But I'll take what I can get. There's no hesitation in signing up. And I wish we could have. I did hug one person in the parking lot, but I'm not talking about that publicly. And they were a willing participant. They
Delete.
agreed to the hug. Yeah, for the recording. They agreed to the hug before we initiated. No, but I just enjoyed it, and I was even Caden, my son. He was a bit overwhelmed in the worship. Elena was swaying vigorously in her desire to dance. She'll be dancing in the back before you know it. Yeah, I was just glad to be there. I was just glad to see Ross in person, to hear the worship team over something other than my TV screen. It was just wonderful, and I was very thankful for it.
Amen.
Praise the Lord.
Amen. And that's good that wonder that you're talking about, Brian, that what Jenna, that you were talking about, just the worship and everything, all of these good, wonderful factors that we got to experience being together. This is a time to remember that there are plenty of people who want to be there for that and simply can't. They simply can't because they're extra vulnerable. They simply can't because they're raising little bitty kiddos, and there's no way to really protect them right now, or to kind of keep some of the guidelines intact if you've got a passel of kiddos. There are people who simply can't be there, but they want to. And for them, this is going to be hard. For them, they don't get the choice necessarily to come and be a part of that worship and to hear Ross and to not listen to through the TV speakers. And so I just want us to remember that when we talked about that Romans 14 idea of not being a stumbling block and just showing grace to each other. One of the ways to show grace is to just remember that there are people in our church for myriad reasons who simply can't go. And how can we just make this easier for them? How can we be gentle to them? We're still doing the live stream. We're still doing these other ways to connect, but it's not the same. And knowing that they can't be there when we're there is hard. So I just wanted to remind everyone of that and pray for those folks. And if you know them, let's go out of our way to serve them and to to let them know how much we love them, because we can't wave at them from 6 feet away on Sunday morning. So we've got to do something else to love them. But let's not forget those folks while we're excited about being able to gather.
Hey, may I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess a good way for me to what Caleb was talking about, and and allowed me to realize that you don't know what you have until it's gone. And so, like, when a man and a wife are separated, and they come to see their wife, their love, after a length of time, there's a great expression in how they feel when they come back to meet each other. There's a more of a desire to want to be with them and share with them, enjoy with them. And so the length of time that we did not have, that we weren't together, it felt great to be together. Now, so maybe the length of time that the others that are not with us right now, when they come to join, maybe they'll be able to express their love and their joy a lot more than what I have.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an absence that is making our hearts grow fonder, for sure. And I love that imagery, Blaine, of the bride of Christ, right? Because that is what we are. And then so, yeah, there's that separation there. That's good. That's good. Well, I think that's probably it for the kind of the catching up and the sharing on Sunday, Ross, unless you had any other pieces to add to that.
No, man, I'm excited to see what continues to how it continues to grow and how we continue to learn. Yeah, it's I'm really excited. It's sort of a strange time because we're like we're doing as best we can to kind of make sure we're keeping in touch with everybody. We don't get to see everybody, and so wanting to, I think, realizing that we're going to have to build back towards kind of what does it mean to have the church be together. And that's just going to be a slow trickle for some people, and so it's an opportunity, as you're saying, just to love each other in the middle of that, and so I think you're going to see the church kind of really grow strong. The church in general, not just ours, but I think the church is going to get really good at caring for each other, and then those that aren't, I think they're going to have a hard time surviving as churches, and I think that's because it's really forcing the church to be the church. Right now, and we've talked about this before, but if all you've got is a show, then you haven't been able to do that show for a while. And so I'm just really excited and proud of our church for kind of doing the things that we need to do to just be the church and to care for each other. And then so now we're getting to build on top of that strong foundation that we've laid, and it's really, I'm just encouraged and can't wait to see what's next.
Amen.
Well, so I'll take over here and just talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing. We just sent out an email yesterday for a class that we're going to be starting in August called Devotion and Doctrine, and so the interest meeting for that, the information meeting for that, is going to be this Sunday at 8:00. And if you are interested in that class, you have to sign up. And so we sent an email out to that class. Sarah, do you think there's a way you could paste a link to the sign up in the chat? And that way, so we'll send the Zoom meeting info to anybody who has signed up. But we've sent a couple of signups out already, and it won't be the only informational meeting that we have. But yeah, I think just wanted to make sure that we get everybody kind of up to speed on what we're going to be trying to do. And let me just tell you just a little bit what it's going to be about. I think there's a lot of people who have a real strong desire to grow closer to the Lord, but really struggle with the disciplines to do that. And so they just kind of, they want to get close to God, but there's like a a lack of the godly habits that would kind of sustain them in doing that. And so part of that is that's the devotion part. What we want to do in this class is it's going to be 6 weeks at a time where we're going to cover a particular area of theology. And while we're covering that area of theology, we're going to be covering also an area of doctrine. So the first one's going to be the theology of the Bible. So what does the Bible say about the Bible, right? How did we get our Bible? Is the Bible reliable? Those kinds of things. But also during that 6 weeks, we are going to be committing to reading to a reading plan and kind of interacting with the scriptures in a way that we're kind of going to give us everybody a way to interact with the scriptures during that time. And the point of that is to build muscles and to come out of that 6 weeks having spent 30 days of just intentional quiet time in the Word. And so you get out of that, you've got some skills, right? You've got some chops that you've been able to do. So I wanted to kind of help, like the way you get disciplined is just by practicing, and that's it. I mean, you get disciplined by being disciplined and doing it. And so we're just going to say, hey, let's all sign up and do it. And so that's part of it. The second part is just theology, right? What does the Bible say about different things? What does the Bible say about salvation? What does the Bible say about sin and heaven and the end times and the Holy Spirit, right? And who is God, right? And it's called systematic theology, meaning we're going to take these different topics that the Bible talks about and go more deeply into them. And a lot of people just don't approach theology because they don't think that they're smart enough, or they don't think that they have that's kind of for a certain kind of person. And so what we wanted to do is just make it accessible, yet it's going to be challenging. And so there will be some reading, but if there's also an audio version of Wayne Grudem's Systematic Theologies that you can listen to for free. And so if it's like, we're not picky, right? We just want people to get the content, and it's going to be hard work. And so I'm excited about just kind of, all right, let's take 6 weeks at a time and do this and work through it. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that on Sunday at the information meeting, but really just excited about entering into a time of just more intentional equipping of our church and really getting to utilize our building to do that. Hopefully we'll be able to do that in the fall. We're ready to not do that if we have to. So we're looking forward to that. And so we just wanted to kind of make sure, just give you another announcement, and to hopefully see you on Sunday at 8 o'clock.
Ooh, 8 p.m.
Yeah, not 8 a.m. Right, 8 p.m. That's good. 8 p.m.
Post meridian.
That's right. Well, guys, yeah, I mean, it's a sweet little intimate group tonight, but man, I love it. It's like a parish, and so really enjoyed the time with y'all. And Ryan, I'm glad you're able to hop on here and get some prayer, brother. We love you, man. I know things are hard, and just know, man, like, you are treasured in our church family. And so I'm continuing to pray for you as well. And
Thank you.
And Cara, I know you're kind of in a weird kind of in between place, and just know that I'm glad you're still like coming to these things, and that you're just kind of connecting that way. And man, yeah, I know it's a hard place, to just be encouraged, stick with it. God's going to show up. All these prayer requests that we just, glad we could be here and with each other and be the church together tonight. Okay, so we'll end there. And guys, it's a good time hanging out tonight, and we will see you soon. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.